Hey, what's up? Back again.
That first bass note hit me in the chest, and I was just like, there's no way that's 2.8.
MB Enclosures has his own YouTube channel, and this guy is an animal when it comes to designing boxes.
What's up? Yes, a comparison test to show why this woofer here is in no way in this woofer's class. I hope I can point out all the distinguishing features to show you how this is a better performing driver than the one that they went after. But let me give you a little black story. So this company is far older than Sundown. I think they established in 2002. Way back in 2002, maybe 2004, somewhere there. Whereas their inception is in 2009. But you know far more about Sundown Audio than you know about DB Drive. Even though this is a much bigger company. DB Drive has you for your Link, G5, what's the other one? Quantum Audio, and their high-end, which is higher than the G5, and they have both lines there, is the Euphoria Audio. All that belongs to DB Drive, 4 separate companies, whereas Sundown is just one. So you can't really compare the money between the two. It's far more money here, far more ability to research and design products, then put something in the market, and a more abundant and cost-effective manner than Sundown. Sundown just now attaining their business acumen and having good deep pockets with their acquisitions. I think they've been acquired. Whereas this company here is, I don't know, money unlimited, if you ask me. So when the Sundown X8 version 1 was released, DB Drive was on the G5. And the G5 was what made me leave the Sundown X8 and calling it the king, because I thought the G5 was his best. It didn't take off when I said that. I remember talking to Nancy Villarreal and I believe Robert at the time. No, I don't think I talked to Robert. I talked to somebody else. And I was, if you look into old videos of me on Facebook, I was very, very happy and pleased. In fact, there's a lot of videos in the past of me with the G5s immediately after the X8v3s and saying that don't let the little bitty slight difference in size fool you. This G5 is the equivalent of this woofer all day, the X8 version 1, okay? So the X8 version 1 went on for a period of time. I know I was all on there. I was a Sundown fanboy. Then it came in the X8 version 2. But G5 did not release, DB Drive did not release a G6. They still stay with G5, saying that, hey, it's still the comparable and the equal of the little better cooling they did on the Sundown X8v3, V2. Well, in 2019, I believe that's when they came on the X8v3. And now we're in 2023, and up to this point, you still have only had, for the last 4 years, the DB Drive G5 being its answer to that performance level. Well, now we're in the G7. So when X8 version 1 was out, you had the G5. X8 version 2 was out, you still had the G5. 4 years into the release and production of the X8 version 3, we now have the answer from DB Drive, and it is in its 7th generation, because that's what G stands for, generation. Generation 5, they got a generation 2, generation 1, and as other reputable manufacturers have told me, they have been getting better and better over the years. So I want to do a side-by-side comparison, because this is the woofer that this woofer went after when it was in Generation 5, what this company went after, to try to put their name into the fight too as well with these 8s. Because contrary to people's belief system, man, why is everybody pushing these 8s? Whether you want to push it or not, there's evidently a market for 8s. And a lot of people are putting their name, even these new cookie cutter companies, are making sure that they have an 8-inch in their lineup. And this is the company that everybody says set the bar. For whatever reason, this is the company that's most popular. Everyone knows their name, Sundown. Interesting packaging. And let me show you why that's interesting packaging. I did notice that both these boxes are roughly the same dimension, and they do come double box. Well, no, that's a smaller double box there, because they use, and this goes to the production cost of your subwoofer. Yeah, you can see. that both of them are packaged exactly the same. Now, this costs to pay for this. This is going to the price of your woofer. So let's get the Sundown out. Face it this way. Put them, it'll fall right on out. Here. Get it out of the bag. And then let's get out the Generation 7 TV drive, which was upside down. Whew. Hey. And showing out the differences and the performance and how it has increased. First thing you can see, can they see that, baby? Is a noticeable difference in size, girth overall. Even when you look at it from head on, you can see that the SD is going to be greater on the DB drive than it is on the X8v3. Now, looking at the surround is much taller. I would say it is the same thickness. Let's see. Let's see if it's the same thickness. I have my trusty caliper here. And here we have 13/16 of an inch. 13, so this is basically right at a little over than 0.75. And here, 13/16, and here we have thickness of the surround to be, and it's my caliper. Make sure I can read that. Is this thing on? Because it's going to 64th. So let's go to, what is wrong? Is it correct? 11/16. So 13 and 11. So we have a thicker, taller surround with the G5. Both of them have a magnetic motor boot. We did that with the unboxing, but they're lined up correctly. But let's get to the performance features. Now, when you get to the Spider, this has a roughly, I believe, a 6.5-inch Spider underneath a 7/3 cutout. Here, you have a 7.5-inch cutout, which looks to be I don't know how much bigger, but it's definitely a bigger Spider landing. It's not 6.5 inches like on this A here. Maybe 6 5/8 of an inch, or maybe 6 7/4 of an inch. But it is noticeably bigger. The Spider landing on this basket is bigger than the one on this basket. You can see that just from looking at it. I don't know if y'all can see that from these angles right here. The baskets are kind of similar, and you see the packages. It makes you wonder, do they come out the same build house? It really makes you wonder with the packages, especially the size of the box. Did they come out the same build house? I don't know. The basket is proprietary. This is original basket on the Sundown X8v3. This is their proprietary basket stamped with their name, the DB Drive logo. The Spider itself, not talking about the landing, but the Spider itself. The rows you have, this is a progressive row Spider. 1, 2, 3, 4 before you get to the triple joint. They are noticeably bigger as you go up, but in comparison to the DB Drive, the rows are a lot narrower and not as tall. Here you have 1, 2, 3 before you get to the triple joint, because you have a 2.75-inch voice cord here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's make sure we get that right. I don't want to misquote. Yeah, I believe it has a voice cord is 2.75 or 2.7 compared to a 2.5-inch voice cord. So you have one less Spider row because of that bigger voice cord. However, the Spider rows are bigger and wider than they are on the X8v3. This is a 3-layer dampener. I believe Sundown has layers on theirs too. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 layer. But this is a 3-layer dampener. I believe this is a 2-layer dampener. Stock, but you can get them with 3. But the production, I believe, is 2. Here they have added a 3rd. Both of them have them bolted down and glued Spiders to their respective landings on their proprietary, I cannot say that word, basket. I will work on it. The tinsel leads are the same thickness. The push connector terminals are the exact same. You get to the top plate height. I would have to take this magnet boot out, and I'll probably do that on the FRIA testing to show y'all just exactly what is the top plate. But visually looking at the top plate is higher, maybe by some 2/16, or maybe by an 1/8 of an inch taller on the. No, in actuality, I'm gonna have to measure it, because if you look at it, just looking at it, this has more a taller magnet height than this one here, right? So I don't know exactly. I'm gonna look at the top plate and measure them individually to see exactly. Oh, now this is a nice standoff feature. Did I see that? Is that here same as well? Both of them on the top plate, screwing down to the bottom plate, have bolts along the top plate that do not line up with the bolts that are screwing the basket to the top plate. So where you have this same technology here on the X8v3, you have that as well on the G7. This top plate has bolts that go through the slugs down to the bottom plate. And then there's bolts that screw the basket to the top plate. Nice. Very, very, very nice. Now rubber boot embossed with the names. And then let's go back to the other cooling feature before we talk about the voice coils itself. As you can see, this is maybe wider, possibly. It looked to be the same. I just think this basket is deeper. This basket is deeper than this basket, and that's why he said 20 millimeters excursion. He says 20 millimeters excursion. He says 19, because his basket is deeper. You can see he's visibly taller, so his basket is deeper. So that's giving him an extra millimeter of throw, linear, probably more than that. That's mechanical. Now we talk down. We see the cooling here. The vent is much bigger on the 2.75 inch cooling surface on the back plate than it is on the Sundown X8v3 with its 2.5 inch. They think they had the same amount of holes, and I would say they roughly feel the same as far as thickness, except these holes. No, these holes do not feel the same. It might look similar. Which one looks bigger than you, baby? Or are they saying to you, don't feel the same? This one's bigger. Yeah, it's slightly bigger.
But they can't tell on the camera because it's dark.
Yeah, it's dark on this one, but yeah, it's slightly bigger. Now, let's talk about these voice coils on these woofers. Flat round aluminum voice coil on a BSAV former. And from looking at it, when I was looking at it earlier, this is the flat round. This is the flat round wire aluminum voice coil on the Sundown X8v3. This one just happens to be larger to justify its 450 watt increase. This is a 1250 watt RMS woofer rated at 2500 max. I do know the Sundown can handle far more power than it's rated at 800. You can handle 1000, but it's not going to handle 1200 for any significant amount of time with a 2.5 inch voice coil. Now, moving on past that, let's talk about the motor force. Now, the motor force you want to use, the formula I like to use, is multiplying the BL, square the BL, and divided by the RE. Well, both of these are D2, so it means when you wire them up in series, you're going to get a 4 ohm and you're going to get a 4 ohm resistance. It might be 3.6 or it might be right at 4. I'm going to say it's at 3.6. So when you multiply 18.5 BL, square it, you get 300 some odd, and divide that by 3.6, and you get a motor force of 85. But when you do the same thing with the DB drive, which has a BL of 18.3, squared and divided by the RE of, say, 3.6, this is a D2, you get 84. So roughly the same motor strength, but maybe a more efficient use of the motor, because now let's look at what's being moved. What's being moved and looking at that power. It could be even more efficient here because you have a force factor of 85 newtons here, moving a mass of 151. I believe it's 151 MMS, moving mass, 151 grams, against a woofer with an 84 Newton BL rating, moving a mass of 212. So a heavier MS, obviously, because of the size of the former, and other features like the carbon fiber dust cap, it's on pressed paper mix, radial paper mix that makes the cone. I swear, man, this got scared. I feel like I can bend this cone here, like I'm doing right now, and I can't do nothing here. It's not as giving as easy as, I can make it give, but it's not as giving as easy as, you can see the force I'm pushing here, can't you, with my finger? I'm doing the same thing here. Yeah, so this is a much stiffer cone, much heavier cone. But what does that mean? Well, the heavier the MMS, if you can move it correctly and control it, the deeper the bass. So, basically the same gap strength. Okay, so all these factors, you plus or minus, what, 1 or 2, then basically they're equal. Same amount of motor force. However, we're moving it far better. We're moving more here because it's got a 7 1/4 cut out and this got a 7 3/8. So while they was on the X8 version 1 and then putting more cooling and making it go to version 2 and then put this back to version 3, because I think the very first X8 had no cooling, which was, to me, was kind of crazy. But it worked. And then he made it play louder longer by putting more cooling. Well, DBJ skipped this generation 6, or we never seen generation 6. And their answer now, 4 years into this production, and pretty much making Jacob have to, he probably gonna get this woof on the strength of this video, or just, whoa. This got a lot of similarities to mine, but much different. The cooling, I mean, let's look at not only the vents bigger, force vector cooling, it's got a lot of open spaces where these are closed in. You can't tell me that you relying on this to cool. You should just open this all the way up. These little holes, ain't nothing directing no air out that hole. Stop it. Ain't nothing directing no air out that hole, man. Just a hole there. Would you rather have this little hole or this big open space? You're not gonna tell me that this closed in is gonna dissipate heat much better than this wide open. What spreads further, fire in a building or fire in the woodland grass? Walls hold heat in. Grasslands is going to keep spreading. So this is going to much better dissipate the heat. And then the heavy MMS, a much stiffer cone, roughly the same motor force, it's beast. I mean, 20 minutes on this video? Good. 17? Well, let me go and end this, man. I'm just showing y'all these differences, man, with this woofers. And I'm going to close it out at that. But you had to see it to believe it. And you see it here first. Peace. Give me if you need an enclosure. 404-694-4818. And as always, please listen responsibly.